I think we should just take a second and appreciate just how surreal of an experience this is right now. We haven't had a trailer for Stranger Things in like years. I mean, we've had teasers and stuff for this new season that's taken a long time to come along. But we haven't had a trailer in so much time. And there's some, and honestly, you know, I've seen plenty of trailers on this channel. Of course, I've covered so many at this point from, you know, multiple different types of projects and different genres and different properties. But the Stranger Things trailers have really stuck with me. Maybe it's because, again, I'm just really invested in the story, and I love the world of Stranger Things. Maybe in part it's because of the music choices that they've employed in the trailers. It's been very fun how they've edited these together. But there's just something so special about watching a Stranger Things trailer. And every time I got the opportunity to check out one of you guys, I've just had so much fun. I've had a great time. It's really surreal, though. Not just because, again, we're getting a Stranger Things trailer, but it's been so long about a Stranger Things season. It's been so long since Stranger Things 3. Like the summer of, 2019? It's been a really long time. But hey, it's finally here after years of teases and delays. Or actually, I don't think they officially delayed it. It's just kind of like, well, we're not going to have an official release date because, you know, everything's closing down and everybody's waiting at this point. And everything's shifting. But I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this new season. If, you know, I must acknowledge this. I'm still, and this has nothing to do with Stranger Things, it's just, you know, the parent company that owns them. I'm still not in a good place of Netflix, you know, when it comes to, as I've been saying for the past couple months, ever since 2020, I actually haven't been on the platform. I'm considering renewing my subscription for at least a month to watch this season, and maybe a couple of their other shows. I'm still debating it, because as I've been saying, I've been pretty public about my position when it comes to Netflix as a company, with Cuties being on the platform. I am absolutely against that project. I wish it were not there. And as I've been saying, I've been very reluctant to hop on the platform since. And I haven't at this point. I mean, it saved me some money. I appreciate that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I haven't been able to get on the platform and stomach seeing that project there. I've been thinking about it a lot, though. I mean, ideally, as I said, that project would not be there. I'm hoping that Texas indictment goes through. I mean, I know there's been some momentum on that front, so I'm looking forward to it. And God willing, hopefully it'll go somewhere, because that film should be excised. But, you know, I've been thinking about it. I've been considering my options, because I am a Stranger Things fan. I love this world, and I know the spoilers are going to be leaking out online. So I'm going to explore that more in the end of the video. I just want to be clear about my position up front, because again, I'm not in a good place of Netflix. Disney is kind of approaching on that territory too, but as well as a couple other studios. But Netflix thus far, I've been pretty public about my position when it comes to them. I have not wanted to hop on because, again, of mignonnes. I just, every time I see it, it's repulsive to me. Stranger Things isn't, though. I love this show. I can't wait to continue it with a pretty dense season, 2 volumes. Although I will say it was kind of disappointing when I looked into the information. By the way, I love that poster. It's excellent. And one of my favorites, actually, I think, for Stranger Things thus far. When I saw it split into 2 volumes, and we're getting one, the first one in May, and then we're getting the second part in July, I'm like, oh, we're going to do like a double up? They've had enough time to maybe do like 18 episodes. Are we going to do or 16 at the very least? Are we going to do like 8 episodes per? No, they're splitting up the 4th season. So it was a bit disappointing to be like, oh, well, we're only going to get like half one time and then drag it out. I mean, it gives it more to talk about, being like, hey, we got to keep Stranger Things on the Twitter trending tab for a little longer. I don't know, though. It's going to be like, well, it's going to feel really short, isn't it? But it's going to leave us pining away, I guess, to finish the season. I mean, I don't even know how many episodes it's going to be in the first half. I don't think they've even disclosed that yet. Is it going to be 5 episodes? 4? 6? Less? I don't know. Let's go ahead, though, and take a look at this new season. And, you know, of course, we're going to discuss this more after we watch the trailer together, but we get to reminisce. It's been so long since the Stranger Things trailer has come out. I'm really looking forward to watching one again. And just it's like, finally, we've had enough teases. We're here at this point. Or we're coming up to it. And as I said, I'm going to go more in the second half again, where I stand currently. Because I've been thinking about it quite a bit. I want to disclose my reasons. Somebody would be like, well, you know, you've been pretty public about the Cuties thing. I'm sure I'm still opposed to it, but I've been weighing my options. Because again, I love this show. So we'll get into that more in the second half, but there, at least for right now, let's appreciate what we can see for a show that's been a long time coming back. Here we go.
broken everything. Your suffering is almost...
I'm interested to see again how the elements blend together. Because the story seems pretty spread out from the teasers we've seen. Like, everybody's in different locations, different stories, in the same mix. Oh, it's sad.
Dear Billy, I don't know if you can even hear this.
I miss Billy on the show. I know he had to die. I'm like, oh, is there someone we can bring it back? Because Doc Montgomery was so great in the role.
A total disaster. For a while, we tried to be happy. Normal.
Everybody is so grown up.
Impossible.
That clock's significant. That's everywhere, it seems.
I relocated you guys far from Hawkins because I thought you'd be safe.
That music just really elevates everything. I mean, the show is great, even without that, but
Is coming.
it just makes these trailers so special. I love watching
friends
them.
at Hawkins are very much in the eye of the storm.
I don't have my powers.
I don't know how to say this other than just to say it. Without you, we can't win this war.
Hey!
See you on the other side.
On the other side.
I was convinced I was put here for some other reason. Maybe I can still help. Even if it's the last thing I do.
It's nice to finally see a little more upside down action, by the way. The last couple trailers, ooh. Last couple trailers have been pretty light.
They're not way off.
Wow.
It's time. You have lost.
That's going to do very well. You know, what's the expression? You don't know how much you've missed something. I'm obviously going to get this wrong. I'm not that good at remembering adages, so forgive me if I butcher this a little bit. But it's like you don't know how much you've missed something until, you know, like it slaps you in the face with like, hey, I'm here again. That's kind of how I feel watching these trailers. Like I said, you know, it's just such a fun experience. And I started, you know, as I'm sure probably some of you have been following this channel for long enough know, I didn't start with Stranger Things initially when it debuted. I got into the show because, again, of the reception I was hearing. Because everybody kept talking about Stranger Things. It was this big phenomenon. Everyone's like, okay, you know, the show is like this big behemoth on Netflix. I hadn't seen it. I didn't open myself up to as many, like, horror thriller type shows of the time either. So it was very much this new type of feel, right? But the minute I started watching the show, first 8 episodes, I binged it, like, probably within 2 days. It's probably most people do. This show is just, it's excellent from a storytelling perspective, from an homage perspective. I mean, in terms of like heralding back to like the, you know, the 80s and 90s, some classic films and the culture at the time too. Like this music too really helps. Really elevates the feeling you're having in watching a trailer. It's just excellent. And although again, like I said, the content itself is fine. It's exceedingly great even, but it's just something special about these trailers. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but I'm just kind of like, other than just like, hey, Stranger Things is back, I'm just kind of like, these trailers themselves are just so much fun. They really do a special place in my heart. But as I said, I binged the entire first season, and then I got on board with Stranger Things 2, and that's why I started covering it. And I've loved it ever since. It is just, well, I mean, ever since season 1. But this is an excellent show. And it's one of those things that overall the delays, and there's been so many projects that have been delayed, obviously, that were great. You know, it's not just Stranger Things. But this is the one that's been, I think, for most of us, including myself, dearly missed. I'm looking forward to it. And it's nice to see, by the way, at least some of the worlds converge. I mean, they're still kind of spread out. Like I said, the past couple teasers they've had, we are spread all over the place this season. We're in Hawkins. I mean, going on the footage here, we're obviously in the Hawkins lab. That shot of 11 is particularly ominous. We got the Hawkins lab. We've got, I guess Hawkins, by and large. California, Russia, and the Creel House. Those are the 4 principal locations, and they're all meeting, like you saw in the poster, they're all converging into the Upside Down. And that's what I kind of wonder, like, where is the Upside Down element, right? I just haven't seen it yet with some of the trailers, because they've all been mostly centered around, you know, the specific locations. We haven't seen as much of the Upside Down yet, but we're seeing some of it here. The Creel House looks to be like a pinpoint. I think that's what they've said, too. This is that out of all those locations, this is the specific. There's a epicenter here. Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, they shrouded that in red with the lightning and everything. Are those like demo bats? I don't know. It's pretty though. Man, I've missed this show so much. So excited about these characters. By the way, as I said, I really miss Billy. I know he had to die. But Dr. Montgomery is extremely talented, and his send-off was just, such a good job in Stranger Things 3. Loved him. I miss him quite a bit. And it seems he's going to be kind of a ghost, at least for Max. Love it. These actors have grown up so much, too. It's kind of funny to look at the poster. I just saw a poster today, too. It just popped in my feed of like it was a YouTube thumbnail, and it was from like a trailer that debuted way back for the first season. I'm like, boy, like Finn Wolfhard and I forget the kid that what's the kid's name that's hanging out with Steve? It's been too long. I've forgotten. It's funny looking at that photo and be like, wow, you were so young back then. You've grown up in the years since. I'm looking forward to this. I love what I'm seeing. That shot, by the way, at the end, I wonder if that's like another Mind Flayer host. I mean, he's still around. Obviously, that big mammoth thing, like that little... That was so creepy, the last season, too, the Mind Flayer. The exploding rats, I'm still getting over that one, but obviously, there's still part of it behind the upside-down wall. It's nice to see the series finally materializing and after waiting how long and having how many teasers, which has been great, but still like, okay, where is this season? It's finally here. But as I said, I've been very indifferent to Netflix. Ideally, I wish this would be on a different platform. I've given it some thought, though, just in consideration. I think I might hop back on for this month, at the very least when it's going to debut. It'll be around that time. But then part of my head, I'm like, well, I don't want to. Okay, I'll say it this way. The decision in terms of that Texas indictment, which I've been saying for a long time, that's kind of what I've been using as my gauge to. Hopefully that'll pull the film off the platform. The reason that I hopped off of Netflix in 2020, I was very serious about that, was not just because, again, that film is just, it's a sore on Netflix that won't ever leave it until that film is gone. And by the way, I'm sure probably something like, well, you're technically an opponent to cancel culture. It's not cancellation when you're talking about child grooming, as explicit as that film was. I mean, it's a disturbing project on every level. I mean, I didn't have to watch it, by the way. I just saw enough clips on my Twitter feed and everybody talking about what's in that movie that's like, yeah, this should not be on there. It's just an awful release, and it has been a black eye on Netflix ever since it's been on there, and Netflix has remained by it, which shocks me. Anyway, well, I mean, in some cases they stand by their content, like they did it with Dave Chappelle, and I don't fault them for that in any way. But when it comes to cuties, I'm like, you really that's the hill you want to die on? And it seems from what I've seen the trades. I mean, there's more factors to this, I'm sure, than just the cuties drama, but that didn't help Netflix from a PR perspective. I remember a lot of people jumped off board. But part of the reason, besides, because some of you are like, well, you don't have, well, okay, let me explain it this way. Now, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this in my head. Fundamentally, I'm indifferent to that film being on the platform, and part of me, as I've stated, I do not want to be on Netflix in any way. My problem, though, for that is, originally, and this is what I've been thinking about a lot, was because of the risk of me providing financial compensation to the movie. It's different than if you were choosing to avoid a film or skip out on a movie that you disagreed with for whatever reason at a theater or on DVD. Because when you're, choosing a film to watch or a TV show specifically, right, you're not paying for something, on a broad structure like you would be for Netflix in terms of like an access fee. If you choose to avoid a project, you don't pay that project any money, right? You give no compensation or time or attention any way to said work that you find, for whatever reason, upsetting or indifferent to you. Netflix and streaming services are a different beast in that you can't, I wish there was maybe a way to do this, but you can't dictate where your money is going to go. So for me to hop on Netflix at the time would have been for me to risk paying a penny or a dollar or any sort of total of my subscription cost to Cuties, which I did not want to do in any way. Now that I think about it, though, because I've been trying to justify, I like the show. And by the way, if some people want to look at this and be like, well, it sounds like you're compromising your position on this, I'm open to that criticism. I understand maybe where this leads me, and how it looks. I've just been kind of thinking about it because on the one hand, I'm like, well, I really want to, watch the show. I've missed it. And there's a couple other projects on Netflix I've wanted to watch as well. And even in the months since, by the way, I've been very clear on this. I've covered Netflix still. I still will be to this day. Even if I hop back on Netflix or if I don't, for Stranger Things, I will still continue to be public about my indifference to Cuties so long as that film is on there. Because I think there's a value in bringing it up, because I just don't see the conversation happening as much anymore. It's like, I don't know why. It seems like, and I know it's not just me. There's other people, but it's just kind of like, there's just not many of us. And that project is still on there. It's like, why aren't more people talking about the fact that that film should be removed? Possibly, criminalized. Anyway, well, we'll see where the Texas indictment goes. I mean, God willing, that goes in a good direction. But debating this in my head has kind of led me to say, this fork where I'm like, okay, I could hop on. I'm not going to like seeing Cuties at all while I'm on there. But I'm also at this place, time-wise, where I'm not paying money over to a show. Right? How much did Cuties make for Netflix? Like $4 million? Isn't that what they cost for it? Or something like that? That money, it's been 2 years since. So I think I'm safe in saying that there's not much, if any, being given over to that movie. Maybe there's like a standard fee or something for like the company, but, in terms of distribution rights. But, I'm kind of like, at this point, if I were to hop back on, my fear at the time was taking the risk of sending money over to that movie. I think I'm in a position now where I won't be doing that. So, I don't know. And as I said, I'm open to, people's feedback on that. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm in a weird place with it. But, because on the one hand, again, I still am not comfortable with seeing that movie appear on my feed. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, I know what's going to happen when Stranger Things debuts. I know how the spoilers are going to get online. And I know how hard it's going to be to try and avoid them. And I have missed the show. And there's a couple of programs on Netflix that I do want to support. Which is why, by the way, as I've said, even as public as I've been about Cuties, I think I was going to say this, and I probably went on maybe another tangent. As much as I've been saying, again, expressing my indifference to Netflix at this point, I've also continued to cover their content because I don't believe in faulting projects that are unrelated, right? They might have maybe issues of their own, but there's other projects that are good, right? That I'm sure might themselves be indifferent to being on the same distribution network that owns Cuties and distributes Cuties, but they don't have any control over that. Because, they were just more so like an acquired release at auction or something, and Netflix bought the rights to their movie, and that's who's carrying them. So, for me, I'm like, I don't want to ignore good works and good pieces of art and edifying pictures just because I'm indifferent to the parent company. So for me, I've continued to cover Netflix, since, largely because of that, because I want to be able to appreciate the filmmakers and their work that I think is commendable and not, vilify them for something that was out of their control. But as far as the parent company is concerned, I just wish Netflix were on a different or not Netflix, wish Stranger Things were owned by a different company. So I'm like, well, I wouldn't have to make the decision. I mean, I'm considering this now with Disney too. I mean, Disney's got other issues, but it's similar subject matter, different specifics. But even I'm kind of looking at them as well as some other streaming services being like, well, I've got my issues with you. So it's not just Netflix anymore. So we'll see where time takes me when it comes to Stranger Things 4. I might hop on. I might not. I'm still thinking about it. Perhaps I should maybe pray about it a little more. But I should bring that in, I guess. But I'm open to your considerations down below as well. I mean, again, that's kind of what I'm thinking about, because I know there's good work on, there's good projects on Netflix, and there's good material. And I think, again, my concern fundamentally has been paying money over to cuties, or the risk that would happen. I don't think that's an issue anymore given the time frame. So I'm not sure. Either way, I know it's a bit of a long-winded point, but I've been public about that, which is why I guess I think at this juncture it's fitting for me to disclose where I'm at now. So that if somebody were to happen on, and hear, my thoughts earlier, in time when I was expressing such a public position on cuties, and they be like, but you said you were hopping on Netflix at the time. I think it's important to just state where I'm at now, but just to give an update so everything's succinct. But like I said, I'm still considering my options with it. Either way, I know it's a bit much to disclose. We probably took up a good portion of that, but I felt it was important. Just a bit of an addendum. As far as Stranger Things is concerned, the new season looks great. I can't wait to watch it myself. It's a great continuation. I've missed the show. I mean, again, no show's perfect out there, but I've really enjoyed Stranger Things, and it's a great homage to older films, past eras. It's just so much fun. I love this story. The acting's fabulous, and I can't wait to see how the story continues. Years after we've had a prolonged break. I might need to go back and rewatch the previous. Maybe if I do hop back on Netflix, I'll probably have to hop on like a couple days ahead and rewatch the past seasons. I'm like, do I remember everything? It's been so long. Not sure. What are your guys' thoughts of Stranger Things 4? And like I said, I probably give you a lot of thoughts to consider in terms of feedback. So whatever you want to say down below, feel free. Are you excited? Do you share with me, when it comes to the trailers for Stranger Things? Is it kind of that same type of feeling with you where you're like, wow, just these trailers, they linger in your mind. And you're like, just the experience of watching a Stranger Things trailer, it's really special. And you've missed it. Maybe not to the extent that I have. Maybe you have. Maybe more. I don't know. Feel free to let me know where you're at down below. Don't forget all the good stuff with like, scrubbing, the sharing, that bell. Until we get to perhaps watch, maybe there's something else for Stranger Things 4 coming out. Maybe a second trailer. I doubt it because this is coming out pretty soon. I think a pretty short turnaround time. So we'll see. But I don't know. If there is something, I'll definitely try and cover it. But until we get to see, maybe something from Netflix that's totally irrelevant. Maybe something of a different franchise, or maybe a project that's ideally not on Netflix, but will be less indifferent to it. Not the project's fault. It's the parent company. I will see you guys at a point we get to look at something else. But until that point, thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. Please extend that love to others around you. God bless and peace.